The Letters Under the Oak. In the quaint village of Elmridge, where time seemed to walk instead of run, lived a quiet librarian named Clara. Her days were filled with the rustle of pages and the soft echo of footsteps on wooden floors. She lived a simple life, one of books, tea, and a heart quietly yearning for something more. Every afternoon, Clara would take her break beneath an ancient oak tree just behind the library. It stood like a guardian, its gnarled limbs embracing the sky. One day, as she rested her back against the bark, she found something strange wedged between the roots, a weathered envelope with her name written in delicate script. Inside was a letter. Dear Clara, I don't know if you remember me, but I remember you. We met once, briefly, under this very tree 10 years ago. I was the shy boy who spilled coffee on your dress and couldn't stop apologizing. You laughed instead of scolding me. That moment stayed with me. I've left this letter hoping someday, somehow, you'd find it. E. Clara's heart skipped. She vaguely remembered the moment, a clumsy encounter during a college literature event, a boy with warm eyes and nervous hands. His name, Elijah, flickered into memory. Curious and enchanted, she returned to the oak the next day. Another letter waited. Dear Clara, I leave these words with no expectation. Writing them gives me peace. I've watched you from afar sometimes, at the library window, your head bowed in books. I never had the courage to say hello. But if these letters make you smile, that's enough for me. E. Day after day, more letters appeared, each one more personal than the last. Elijah shared his fears, his dreams of being a writer, his heartbreaks, and his admiration for Clara's quiet strength. He wrote as though she was the lighthouse in his storm. Clara wrote back. She left her own letters under the tree, carefully tucked where his had been. She told him about her father's passing, her love for poetry, her fears of being ordinary. It became their secret world, words shared beneath leaves and stars. Months passed. Then, one rainy afternoon, Clara came to the tree but found no letter. Nor the next day. Nor the next week. The silence was deafening. She began to worry something had happened. Had he left? Had he given up? One evening, just as summer turned to fall, Clara found an envelope with trembling hands. Clara, I'm sorry I disappeared. I was diagnosed with leukemia months ago, and I've been in and out of the hospital. I didn't want to burden you. But I missed you, more than I thought I would. If you still want to see me, truly see me, I'll be at the lake on Sunday. The same place where we first met, by the old bench. Elijah. Sunday came. The sky was streaked with gold and purple as Clara approached the lake, heart thudding. And there he was, thinner than she remembered, but those same warm eyes looked up at her with disbelief and hope. Neither said a word at first. Clara stepped forward, wrapped her arms around him, and whispered, "You don't have to be alone anymore." From that moment, their story was no longer one of letters, but of hands held during chemo, of evenings spent watching the stars, of books read aloud in hospital rooms. Elijah fought hard, and Clara never left his side. He recovered slowly. And 1 year later, under the same oak tree, he knelt with a ring and said, "I fell in love with your words first. But now, I want to spend a lifetime loving you." Clara said yes. And so, the oak tree kept their secret still, of two souls who met through ink and found eternity in each other's hearts. A season called us. In the heart of a small Italian village nestled between rolling hills and golden fields, lived a young woman named Elara. She worked at a quaint bookshop passed down from her grandmother, a quiet place filled with the scent of old pages and sun-dappled windows. Elara loved stories. But she never imagined one would write itself through her own life. Every afternoon, a man named Luca would come into the shop. He wasn't from the village, his accent hinted at the north, and his suit always seemed too formal for the countryside. At first, he came to buy poetry books. Then he came just to talk. Luca was a civil engineer, sent temporarily to oversee the restoration of an old bridge on the edge of town. He found Alara's presence calming, and her laughter, light and unforced, lingered in his mind long after he left the shop. They grew close. He would read to her Neruda under the olive tree near the shop. She would show him the old love letters between her grandparents, still hidden between the pages of dusty novels. Time seemed to slow when they were together. One evening, as autumn arrived and painted the village in amber hues, Luca brought Alara to the bridge he had spent months restoring. Beneath the soft glow of lanterns, he confessed, "This town gave me peace. But you gave it meaning. I never knew a place could feel like home until I met you." Alara hesitated. She had always been afraid of loving someone who might leave. "You're going back to Milan, aren't you?" He nodded, eyes heavy. "They want me back next month." They stood there in silence, the wind carrying falling leaves around them like a blessing or a goodbye. Days passed. Alara tried to return to her routine, but everything felt muted without him. She found herself rereading the poems he loved, touching the places he once stood. And then, one morning, she found a book left behind, The Little Prince. Inside was a note in Luca's handwriting. "What is essential is invisible to the eye. I left Milan. I'm not coming back. Because my home is here, if you'll have me." Tears welled up in her eyes as she looked up, and there he was. Standing in the doorway, carrying nothing but a small suitcase and a heart full of hope. She ran into his arms. Years later, people still spoke of the engineer who rebuilt more than a bridge, he rebuilt a heart. And the bookshop, once quiet and still, became a place where love lived between the pages, and a season called autumn forever held a story of its own.